Hi, this is David again, and I'm on the Chainlink ecosystem team here. We are closing out the Chainlink stage here at the conference, and we're doing that with a bang. We have a fantastic panel for you of speakers who are really harnessing the power of oracles to stretch the boundaries of what is possible in the blockchain space. With us here today, we have Christian Espinoza, who's a smart contract lead developer at Cryptex Finance. We have Roman Storm, who's the co-founder of Tornado Cash. And we have Clayton Lowry, who is the blockchain manager, senior consultant at Armanino. And so let's dive right in. I want to start with a question to highlight the variety of ways that each of you is really implementing oracles in your systems. Each of you is pushing the limits of what DeFi can be, and you've all built out innovative tech to meet your needs. So for example, there was no accounting firm running nodes before Armanino set one up and started experimenting, and Tornado has really introduced some new privacy solutions. So I want to hear from each of you about really the underlying infrastructure, how you set that up, and what role oracles play in the infrastructure of your project. And let's start things off with Roman. Why don't you dive right in?
Hi, everyone. I'm Roman Storm. So if you don't know what Tornado Cash is, it's a non-custodial privacy solutions with compliance. And one of the design goals for Tornado Cash is that every external source of information Tornado uses should be considered untrusted. That's why Tornado Cash needs a solution like Chainlink in order to fetch the gas price for our users when they use the application.
Sounds great. We'll jump over to you, Clayton. It'd be great to hear a bit more about what you're building and how you incorporated oracles in that as well.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Clayton Lowry, product manager here at Armanino. We're a major U.S. accounting and consulting firm, and in my opinion, probably the world's most innovative because of things like you mentioned, Dave. We always are pushing the boundaries and try to stay on the cutting edge of DeFi. And in 2019, we launched the first ever real-time audit application where we really automated the audit function end-to-end from data collection all the way to report issuance. And we did that with Trust Token on their TrueUSD stablecoin. And we continued pushing forward and launched some proof of reserve stuff with exchanges on a more manual basis that we're working on pushing that towards an automated way as well. And we, at last SmartCon with you guys, we debuted the first on-chain proof of reserves feed, and we're really excited about that. As the first time any data like produced from a firm like ours had come on chain via y'all's oracles, and that allows for DeFi applications to interact with real world assets in a more trustless way. And I think we're just scratching the surface of what that can do. It's really early. There's only a few proof of reserves feeds, and we're only doing one right now, but we're bringing more clients onto Trust Explorer. That's our software platform, and we plan to continue to talk to them about exposing data on chain. And yes, we're proud to announce we're in a pilot phase running our own Oracle and have a lot of exciting things planned there.
That sounds good. We can maybe dive into that a little bit more later in the session. And Christian, why don't you jump in as well and tell us a little bit about what you're building?
Hey everyone, I'm Christian Espinoza. Maybe you can see me on crypto Twitter like Chris Garner. So Cryptex Finance is actually a DAO that builds products for DeFi users, and our flagship product is called TCAP. It's a total cryptocurrency market cap token. So this is like this is actually a synthetic token that captures the whole cryptocurrency market without having to buy like each of the assets like a basket will do. So it tracks the market, you hold it, and the token moves regards the cryptocurrency market price. And how we do is that we use Chainlink Oracle for first capturing like the total cryptocurrency market cap, which saved us a lot of time when we were developing this. We started early last year, and I think it saved us like 6 months of work just on creating the total cryptocurrency market cap, and much more secure than we could have done it ourselves. And also we are using DeFi feeds from Chainlink for because our asset is actually collateralized by ETH, DAI, and different token. So we use these DeFi feeds to get the USD price of ETH, DAI, RapidTC, and these assets to actually mint these TCAP tokens that are required in order to mint it.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Christian, for jumping in there. And I want to get, because we have really a variety of solutions and ways and different projects that are we have represented here on the panel of how oracles can be implemented. I really want to get to some of these different audience that this is speaking to, because one of the most powerful aspects of DeFi is that it's permissionless, and we're opening up new financial opportunities and creating new building blocks that allow more and more people to come in regardless of their different backgrounds. And so I want to hear from each of you just a bit more about really who you're speaking to, who your users are, and what decentralization offers to these users. And maybe we'll start with Clayton on this one.
Sure. Yeah. So as I mentioned, with that proof reserves feed data, we're starting to see some pretty cool use cases pop up with this data. It's still really early, and I'm excited to see how it develops down the line. But we sponsored you guys hackathon a few months ago, and there was in the winner that from our sponsor, and I think they won a few other ones, was a parametric risk management application, which basically rebalanced within Aave or Compound or any kind of money market, or paid out some insurance if our feed ever showed that the reserves were not adequate to meet the supply. And that's really exciting. Like, protocols can protect themselves, holders of the stable coins can protect themselves from any kind of black swan type events. And I think there's going to be some you could, like, credit default swaps. You can see some other type of kind of advanced financial products built with data like that. And since it's just stable coins right now, it's still a very small niche, and I think there's a lot of runway to go based on like what kind of data we bring into a firm like ours and can produce on chain. Another thing is we're seeing recently like even better usage of, I think, of the proof reserves feeds. I've seen a couple of developers like talk about integrating that into the mint function in the stablecoin contract, which is really exciting, because that way the Oracle network that's on that proof reserve feed is checking that the supply is really there before the token's minted. And it's really like acts as a control in a way on that mint function, which is also a really, really exciting thing. And when we piloted our node, we've just joined that feed. And I think that's going to be powerful going forward.
Great, thanks so much. Yeah, that's some exciting developments there. And maybe we'll jump to Roman. And I'm curious also if you could comment on specifically around anonymity too, in regard to this permissionless system, and how your team thinks about that.
Sure. So one of the goals of Tornado Cash is to provide privacy to the users. However, it should not come at the cost of non-compliance. So that's why with Tornado Cash, people should be aware that they can always prove their original source of funds, how they use Tornado Cash. So for example, recently, some of the crypto exchanges are reaching out for help to understand how to read the compliance report that Tornado Cash provides. So with the respect of audience, I think anybody who wants to have financial privacy should have it. So that's basically what our target audience is. Yeah.
Perfect. That sounds pretty wide sweeping and permissionless right there. And we'll jump to you, Christian. How does your team think about this?
So the first thing is that some of my background, I live and I'm from Latin. So something that happens in most countries in Latin, at least on the developer ones, are not developer ones, is that you don't really have access to financial tools. For example, for me, the only thing that I can do in the country is just deposit my money on the bank. That's pretty much that, and buy some maybe pension stuff for when I retire or something like that. That's all. I mean, I can really buy index tokens. I can really buy actions from other companies or stuff like that. So this really limits the potential of people in most of these countries. So for when the team pitched me TCAP and CryptoX, for me it was like really important in the sense that I know that anyone in my country can actually buy TCAP and get exposure to the total cryptocurrency market. So this is like a new tool that people has that previously didn't have. And TCAP and CryptoX products are actually for two type of users. The first one is the normal user that just want to hold the asset, right? Like, again, want exposure of this asset, and I just hold it. And the second one is for arbitrators or DeFi super user, you could say, that what they want to do is like actually mint the TCAP and sell it or arbitrage or do stuff with it, like get loans or doing some arbitrage on Uniswap or SushiSwap. So, or synthetic assets usually are more expensive on secondary markets, so people can actually mint it and sell it for a premium and try to earn some money while instead of like holding their native asset. So these are the two kind of users that we talk on. But our main goal as a DAO is to actually have TCAP in the hands of the amount of people that we can.
Perfect. Thanks so much. And next question here. We're just scratching the surface, obviously, of what can be brought on chain in decentralized ways through oracles. So I'm curious what maybe we could start with just what's next on your roadmap. What are you really excited to be building out? I know some of you spoke to that a little bit, but it'd be great to hear some more details as far as what your team is working on right now, as far as some of the next steps and some of the next things that you're excited about.
I can
Sure.
start. Oh yeah, go ahead.
So audit firms produce a lot of data, but it's all trapped in binders and work papers and very static type things. So I'm really excited to see what kind of how we can make that valuable for smart contract developers and get that into more smart contracts. I think more legacy financial data on chain is like our next step on onboarding capital markets. There's very little total value locked in DeFi for real world assets besides like dollar-backed stable coins. And I think, and all of us at Armanino think this is going to go parabolic over the next few years with other backed assets like gold and other commodities. NFTs are blowing up, and I can see those being backed by real world art. And there's when anything is off chain and on chain, there's a layer of trust, and us and Chainlink are going to work together to try to remove as much as you need to trust us or Chainlink or anybody else that and make sure that those assets are still there. And we're working on a couple things for NAV for hedge funds, and I think that's kind of security tokens were really hyped back in 2018, and they haven't delivered at all. And I think that's part of the reason is that like some of this legacy data just is we're very in DeFi, it's very crypto focused, very crypto data related. And I think for us to take the next step and leap in our industry, getting things like hedge fund NAV and real estate valuations for potentially NFTs and dynamic NFTs on property and real estate funds, getting that on chain and onboarding institutions, that's how we 1000x security tokens and ultimately 1000x our whole space.
Sounds pretty exciting. How about you, Roman?
Yeah, I have to emphasize that anybody can be a Tornado Cash contributor because the team has no control over the protocol. It's completely decentralized, and there is a DAO that controls the next vision and the future of Tornado Cash. So one of the few proposals that are going on right now in the Tornado Cash forum is to solve a few issues with the current Tornado version. For example, how to make a Tornado Cash pool with arbitrary deposit amounts, and how to make internal transactions within the pool. So that when you, let's say, join the pool, and then you can make an internal transfer within the pool to somebody else without exiting the pool. And all of these features will be with the full compliance, which means that if any any agency will request the verification of the origin of your funds, you should be able to do so with Tornado Cash to fully review your privacy for compliance reasons.
Perfect. Thanks so much. And how about you, Christian?
So something that we are working right now is actually deploying Cryptex contracts into different layer 2 solutions. Like, for example, we are really near in launching on Polygon. The reason for that is that we want people to actually have access to minting TCAP or just using TCAP. And we know that sometimes the fee, at least for people in LATAM, is like really, really high, paying $20 for minting something or for buying something. And not only on LATAM, actually in a lot of places on the world. So that's like our first goal, trying to launch on Polygon. Then we are going to explore different rollups like Arbitrum and Optimism. And before that, we want to roll some kind of multi-chain governance, because our DAO, you know, is decentralized. So we want, or DAO, instead of like deploying our same DAO governance token into each of these assets, just having that mainnet one controls like every protocol deploying on different chains or layers. So that will be like our next step. Also, deploying new products, just not TCAP, so maybe Bitcoin dominance, altcoin dominance, or some products related to tracking some specific movements of the market that could also benefit the overall user.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Great. So I want to ask just a couple more pointed questions at each of you, and we can dive a little bit more into what you're building. So I want to start with you, Clayton, and just think a little bit about this concept of truth within, traditional accounting versus what we're building. Can you talk a little bit about just your experience of bringing this type of decentralized truth like into the bigger, like accounting world, and just what kind of reaction you've got as far as shifting that industry over into more decentralization?
Yeah, the reaction is like, I would say accounting is definitely a laggard of the type of industries. So the reaction, but we're starting to see a lot more interest in this space, and like you mentioned, truth and how we prove that. There's a lot of audity standard kind of things that people get nervous about with words of proof and truth and stuff. But I'm really excited to see, like I mentioned a minute ago, we have all of this data, and it really, in my opinion, it's like one of the highest grades of data. Like it's after we've gone through all of it, and it's audited data, and I don't think you get much higher grade truth than that. Granted, you are still trusting us to an extent, but that's why we've launched this Oracle, and I think it's just the very beginning of we've got some exciting things with Deco that we've thought about with y'all, and that really show, like we're going to still be involved in the process, obviously, but there's technological developments that are going to really be able to pull us back, and we can rely more on automation and the decentralization that you mentioned. Perfect.
Thanks so much, Clayton. Yeah, I can imagine that is something brand new when you tell people you're running a node within that space.
Yeah, it's very like, what? I mean, and accounting firms definitely aren't known for DevOps, but we're getting there. We're adding a ton of infrastructure just for all kinds of blockchain nodes for a few other products, and so I'm really excited to see how I'm excited for SmartCon too, and every year here feels like it's been a long time.
Yep, and I mean it goes the other way around too. It's amazing to see really that background to come into the blockchain space. I think it's also helped really change the space in certain ways. So it's been great to see that. So Roman, I want to jump to you real quick. You talked about just your proposals and decentralized decision making. Can you talk a little bit more about your proposal process and how like decentralized truth gets brought into those and the importance of that?
Yeah, sure. So basically right now there is a governance, there is a governance contract, which basically means anybody who has a Torn token they can go into the forum and make a proposal. What proposal means, it means some on-chain actions. So it's basically a smart contract with a set of instructions that it has to be executed. So when the proposal is submitted, the community would have to vote on it, either in support or against it. And if there is enough quorum reached, the proposal can be executed. And the proposal itself is pretty much anything. It could be a completely new protocol or maybe some tune-up in a current system. However, the pools where the funds are stored, they're completely immutable and they cannot be changed. So anything only new or anything that can be as an add-on to the current system could be proposed, or maybe like if the people want to have a really good idea on what a completely different Tornado Cash system should be, they can also do that.
Perfect. Sounds exciting. And Christian, it'd be great because you're working really on the technical side to also hear a bit about your experience incorporating, how easy it is to spin these price feeds up and incorporate them. What really your experience has been on that front as a developer, bringing those into your system. And it would be great to hear a little bit more about your architecture on that front.
Yeah, so first, so when we started working on this project was, the Oracle part was actually being built by Preston Van Loon from Prismatic Labs. He's one of the founders of Cryptex. So I remember that we started digging into how to create this Oracle, and we have some kind of partnership with one of the providers of the feeds, which was really expensive from our side, and we were only using like beta data to build this Oracle. And we were working hard, like trying to create everything from zero. And I can tell you that we had like staking contracts and everything ready for the tokenization of the creation of this TCAP token. And the Oracle was still like really on the early stages. And we were doing like a lot of research, and that's when we connected with the Chainlink team. And the difference was like abysmal in the sense that first, so they provide us like a data aggregator, which already have the information from TCAP, from the total cryptocurrency market cap from 8 different providers. I mean, 8 different nodes and 5 different providers. That's like 5 times more decentralized what we were already building from the start. And from the integration side, it was just like, it was almost like copy pasting one contract, adding this small aggregator address that we were provided, and just reading the data. It's that as simple as that. It's just like using the DeFi feeds. We just need to like read information from our main contract and then do stuff with it, like calculate collateral ratio, like calculate how much you can mint, like calculate if you are on liquidate state. So what we do is just like call or smart contracts that gets the data from Chainlink, and that's one is going to give us the data that we need, and we just utilize that data in the smart contract. So it's really secure from our side in a sense that we are getting not one provider, we are getting 5 and from 8 different nodes. So it has helped us a lot in decentralized this product and this protocol.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Christian. So that about wraps up our panel here. We are just about out of time. I want to thank all of our panelists here, and of course, we've been the lucky ones to close out the day. I'm glad everyone got to see how you can interact with our oracles, from just integrating a price feed and really quickly to building out custom solutions. This is, we have a lot of different ways that you can build with Chainlink and start to incorporate our data. So thank you so much to each of the panelists here, and I will hand it back to Michael to close out the day here.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, everybody.
SmartCon, thank you so much for 3 amazing days here at the Chainlink stage. It was a pleasure getting to be your MC, a dream come true.